And welcome back, everybody, to the EGFC Big East Conference Championships. We are on to the second semifinal, trying to figure out who can advance to face DePaul in the grand final. I am Data Taco. Joined with me is seemingly as always Soy. We get paired together for these matchups. We have Soy, and this has been a very interesting day.
Oh, yeah, it has been fantastic. I mean, there have been a ton of upsets. I mean, even entering this one, UConn getting the upset as the number 7 seed, beating that very strong number 2 Xavier team. I mean, they have looked fantastic. We saw, a very close matchup earlier on in the day between Marquette and DePaul, who booked their ticket to Grands as they win in semifinals against Seton Hall. So just a crazy day across the bracket.
Yeah, having both the 1 and 2 seeds getting knocked out there is obviously quite the path that we've taken through this bracket. But now these teams have only fired up because Butler getting here off of that reverse sweep game 5 you and I casted earlier. They're fired up, but this UConn team has to be feeling confident. And at this point, we can just throw the seeds out the window. They don't really matter because at this moment, the team that is playing with the hot hand might just come out on top. So I don't know what it's going to take, but I think at the end of the day, we're in for a fantastic last 2 matches here for this conference championship.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the way that today has gone, this is bound to be a good one. I mean, we were talking about craziness. Villanova nearly swept this Butler team, and then all of a sudden, Butler's offense came alive, averaging roughly 20 shots a game, it felt like, and they just kept peppering the net time and time again. So that's really going to be the question. I think once again, can Butler kind of maintain that game flow? Can they maintain that type of style? Because the way UConn was playing earlier, that's not going to be the easiest thing in the world.
Absolutely not, but we don't have to wait any longer to figure that out. We are going to get right into game number 1 with a fairly even kickoff, and I'm just looking for which team can strike first. We saw some early hits earlier from Butler in those matches, or at least in those games, but here's to see if that's going to be the same at this point. Margin for error has to be so incredibly small, but going to start things off with Connecticut trying to get an extended play there, but Miss going to slow things down a little bit as Zaster will lob another one there, but Kai equal to it. And Kai is certainly the player for me that I'm definitely gonna have my eye on for Butler. He was so instrumental in a lot of those Butler attacks, and gonna be interesting to see if he has similar luck in this series.
Yeah, Kai was absolutely, I think in game number 3, he was the one that really came alive first and averaged, a ton of those shots, just started really attacking the net the most, and that kind of allowed Astro and Sir Aaron to really allow that pressure to ramp up. Once he got going, then Butler got going. And so he'll absolutely be the player to watch. For the side of UConn, Droys for me, Droys and Disaster are massive, and Disaster going to be the first to strike here in game 1.
And Sherboy getting not just a touch over the defender, but another one off the backboard to bait in another. And Disaster, all they had to do is put it on target and do it well. They do indeed. And that's going to be the first goal after just over a minute of play. So no longer we're going to be seeing that cagey game 1 opener. Now Butler going to have to find that answer, and they're going to answer quick. Who else? Kai for 1-1.
Kai fine here. Disaster's just trying to buy some time in the corner, and Kai swoops in and cuts this angle so difficult to find, but gets it over top of the defender. And all of a sudden, tie game with 3:40 to go.
So another even kickoff, but crazy deflection there. Astro gonna have to get across to it, and they do. A little bit of a high lob will open things up for Disaster, but a great dunk by Kai. Does he have any support with him? He's trying to buy some time, but he'll just go out into the side for Astro. Sir Aaron just chasing this one, and not quite the opportunity they're looking for, but Kai keeps it alive anyway, and now Butler's starting to warm up here. They had plenty of shots that last series we did cover in that quarterfinal, and I'm curious to see if that's going to be a similar pattern, if they're really just going to pepper the goal and see if that can wear down the defense.
And that's going to be kind of the challenge, right? We know how strong this Butler offense can be, but the way UConn played in their opening round, I mean, it was not the easiest thing in the world to get the offense started. And so we'll have to wait and see. I like how easy, I mean, for both teams, I guess initially here, it is fairly easy for them to get out of their own defensive zone. That was a great chance, stopped and saved, and Droy's making another save there. And now look at the quick counterattack by UConn.
Yeah, but will be stamped out, so good midfield defense coming out, always crucial, but you got to make sure you get it in your own half too. Sir Aaron off the error will put in number 2.
I mean, right here, the double commit ends up pinching right down in front, and Sir Aaron, this is an easy, just a small tap onto net, but it did not even matter. Third man nowhere to be seen, as that double commit proving very costly.
We've passed halftime, and now the lead has exchanged hands here. Connecticut losing their grip on this game, but they still have plenty of time to work with, as I'm sure they're all aware, but of course, always brutal to be giving up that lead at any point in the game, but at least they'll try to get it back with longer plays, but will be deflected as Sir Aaron will try to extend things, but it'll just go down to Chirpoid, and the little touches in between these UConn players not quite finding their marks. It seems as though they're really trying to rely more on that backboard play down the stretch.
Yeah, and that's something that they kind of struggled with through the fall split. That backboard was not open, but Chirpoid nearly catching up this defense. Kai had to hustle back to make that save, and now that attempt just trying to buy a little bit of time for his team as Astro trying to get that one out mid, but again, that transition through the midfield has been a point of emphasis throughout the day, and what started off as fairly easy transitions for both teams, now it feels like a little bit of a lockdown here on the side of UConn.
And they are getting a little bit frustrated. We have only 70 seconds to go to be able to get that equalizer while they're just trying to hold on here, but they are getting peppered a little bit on to their backboard as Chirpoid will continue to hit these balls onto the back end, but Butler holding strong for now. They're going to have to face at least one more as Disaster, the high lob, but Chirpoid actually not ready for this one. Astro dropping it down to Kai. That one's going to go off Butler's back end, or rather UConn's back end, and they're just really struggling to get a possession. Butler just more than confident enough to just get these touches, get these bumps there coming in from Astro, and just burn seconds off that clock as we now are hitting just about half a minute remaining.
And this is going to be kind of the question territory for UConn. Can they find a way to get some sustained pressure? They've relied on that backboard seemingly through most of this game. They've got to find a way to throw off this defense. There's the chance from Droyz. He cannot find the net, and Chirpoid, that's a hard angle to cut. It's still down in front, and Disaster strikes again.
And strikes again, indeed. An opportunistic chance here. Chirpoid has a hard angle, so they don't go for it. They just lob it again, and Disaster, knowing this, gets there before anybody else. Still a lot to do, but well finished. 2-2 with 13 to go. We're looking like we might head to OT, but still, anything can happen in these final 10 seconds. Astro into the midfield, but actually doesn't get it. Chirpoid has likely stolen it for UConn.
What an angle. Disaster's just feeding this one out in front, and Astro doesn't find the touch. Chirpoid gets it on net, and all of a sudden the defense of Butler nowhere to be found. Not sure if they thought they'd get a touch, and now with 5 seconds left, what a dunk by Disaster. That's going to kill a lot of time.
Now they have to carry it all the way down the field. Can they keep it up? That's a good start. And a good dribble. It's a flick up to Kai. They're not going to get it. Sir Aaron will not either. Connecticut robbing. Absolute thievery we're witnessing on EGF official as Connecticut, I don't know how, but takes game number 1.
And it felt like that Butler had so much momentum through the middle of that game, but I think the second half, UConn, they got back to that lockdown midfield play that we saw way back earlier in the day, and really, the fact that Butler couldn't transition through the mid allowed UConn chance after chance after chance. And like you said, they just somehow find a way to steal that game. You think surely Astro finds that touch in mid and makes that save, or maybe someone gets back in time in order to make that play. But Disaster and Chirpoid, with the only goals this set, they woke up here in game number 1.
Yeah, and it's just such an interesting play because as we saw, Butler was struggling to get it out at times, but they were able to keep offense up. They were getting the goals that they needed, but it's just a series of failed clears or just some awkward play in the midfield that opened that up. And at this level, you can't allow that. You have to be decisive. You have to get quality touches, and it's just not enough. And at the worst time to come, right at the death. So Connecticut robbing away that game number 1, but it's still very close. I'm curious to see what adjustments Butler makes coming into game number 2.
Yeah, we saw too in that last set for Butler against in their last series to get here to semifinals. It was against Villanova. They struggled through the first 2 games. It took a minute for them to wake up, and then they made their adjustments. But for UConn, I mean, to get off to such an early lead once again is massive. But Kai just does not even care. He will find that tap off the backboard to strike first here in game 2.
And we've seen Kai as the player to step up, and what a way to do it right off the bat. And a tough angle. They just have to make sure they get it on contact, and consistently they've been able to manage that. 15 seconds just about in, and we already see our first goal, almost a second this time on the other end, but right off the kickoff, they're going to have to waste that opportunity.
And they'll buy themselves a little bit of time here as Disaster. Great bump, actually. And Kai trying to keep that pressure up. Look at Droys in transition, almost finding that angle. And UConn, their midfield play really tightened up at the end of game number 1 and gave their offense a chance to go to work here. If they can continue to win a lot of these battles at midfield and kind of get these pushes, it's really going to make a hassle for Butler to get out of their own zone.
Yeah, and right now this is actually quite the interesting first minute because we're seeing UConn back into work, getting a lot of nice backboard play, but that's really all they're getting. As long as Butler can hold on, then it won't be too much of an issue. And I'd like to see a little bit more creativity coming out of UConn down the stretch, but at least starting up in game number 2, it seems like it's working. All 3 of them up on attack, but actually this one just going to squeeze out into the far side as Sir Aaron tries to extend it, but it's going to be another giveaway, and Kai going to have to deal with this one. No touch. Sherpoid into the corner. Droys trying to chase it, and we'll get a temporary 50. Lobbed into the middle, but Sir Aaron, another clear out for Butler.
And this is going to be the difficulty. You see a couple of chances. UConn kind of dependent on the backboard at times, but if you've got the space to go for it, why not? This Butler team, they cannot find a way to clean up that backboard. It is wide open, and Disaster out in front. He couldn't find the angle. I think he tried to pick a corner there. Instead, just did not find an angle on net, so a chance missed, and another save there by Sir Aaron to buy some time.
Approaching halftime, and still only just that 1 goal in it for Butler. But Kai looking to add another one. That's off the backboard. Astro lurking for this one, but not the contact they were hoping for. It'll eke out to the side, and on the counter, Chirpoid has a player in the middle with Disaster, and he will find him. Disaster puts UConn on the board.
That was beautiful. Chirpoid here beats one defender and then waits for the defense to come by, and look at that pass across. There's just nothing you can do there on the side of Butler. You just have to get back faster. That's the only solution, because that really just made it looked like a 2-on-2, but it was really a 2-on-1.
And sometimes you really do have to keep in mind when you're rotating back, man, I really have to cover this goal. I have to prevent the shot. But sometimes just that little infield pass is all it takes to ruin your well-laid plans. And that's somewhat what has happened here to Butler. That counterattack, a little bit brutal, but comes off of the hand of not the ideal shot on the follow-up. Kai hit it off the backboard, and it wasn't able to be dealt with. So maybe Kai's just going to take matters in his own hands this time. A banger into the far post.
And Droys makes roughly the right play. They're just trying to get that one up and off the wall. But Kai, the angle that he finds, and such beautiful shot placement too, right in that upper third underneath the crossbar. No one on the side of UConn ready for it.
And Chirpoid cuts that out well, and Astro doesn't deal with it perfectly. Droys off the near post, but Disaster's only going to be able to get a dunk. Chirpoid, they're going to get beat. Kai upfield, tapped on target, but not quite enough to beat out Droys. Another lob high. Astro's going to keep it lively. Chirpoid, they're going to leap for that early, and it's a good thing they do. Butler mounting pressure, but just hits around goal, not finding the target. And finally, UConn will be able to clear that out after a sustained 30 seconds of pressure coming in from Butler. This is not what you want to see as they start to heat up on the offensive zone.
Yeah, and with a minute 30 to go, still down 1, all that pressure that UConn had at the beginning of the game is dissipating now as their defense is getting tested time and time again. And Sir Aaron and Astro, they've done a fantastic job of just keeping this ball in the opponent's half. I mean, even here, you can see they are struggling to get this ball cleared out.
And Chirpoid a little slow to that one. Sir Aaron comes in over the bar as UConn breathes a sigh of relief, and now Droy's on the counter. Get it past one, only has Astro to beat. It's off the near post. Chirpoid is there, denied, and Kai on the follow-up, no contact, but Astro will clear the lines for him. And barely getting away with it there is Butler. Still a very close game. They can't be getting too greedy on offense. That counter, always such a threat.
It really has been. I mean, the way this game has kind of played out. Oh, look at the transition here. The control that they've got. Can he find the bump? Kai makes the save. That was massive. He got bumped into that play and still found a way to make the save.
And now under 30 seconds, Chirpoid, they're looking upfield. It's a great contact, better save. Out to the corner again. Droy's gonna keep it alive, but only with a nick of the ball. Kai burning a time off here as they're taking it downfield. A good fake, and they just have to survive for another 5 seconds. But on the counter, that double commit might hurt their chances. Disaster, can they keep it up? It's gonna be a bounce near, but they can't find the player in the middle. Butler coming away with game number 2.
And this game was really kind of dictated by adaptation. You saw UConn had the pressure early, but Butler had the response. They found a way to battle back in that game. Kai with that first goal was a hard cut angle, and then they found the one weakness, just a slight mistouch on the defensive side. Droyce is just trying to get that ball upfield, get that ball cleared out, and Kai was there to punish it. And this is a Butler team that we saw, their adaptation in set, against Villanova, they turned it around. That was really the strength that we saw in their quarterfinal round. For UConn, that's going to be the challenge now. It's the, okay, we threw the first punch, now they've counterpunched. How do we respond?
Yeah, and the one thing I'm a little bit nervous is watching the amount of time that Kai has come through for Butler, and they're getting all these goals. UConn, they need to be incredibly wary of his presence on the field because everything he's touching lately is turning to gold. I'm not necessarily saying he's like a backbone of Butler, but time and again, he has been really that catalyst for the offense. So coming to that game number 3 here, as we see the series become tied, Connecticut eked out that win, but game 2, it was not far away. Keep it close, finish your opportunities, but my goodness, you have to find a way to slow down this Butler offense.
I mean, every offense in the Big East can be so scary, but the way we saw Butler's play earlier today was just something else. I mean, you just don't see 20 shots on average in a set ever. And UConn know that this is going to be a task if that's going to be the case. I mean, they gave up 6 shots there, but the angles that Kai was able to find were fantastic. So they know they've got to be able to step up here, and maybe they will early as Chirpoid snipes the bottom corner.
That's what I like to see. Sir Aaron getting a little bit too inside on that touch. Droy's capitalizing. Chirpoid not looking for power, just for placement. That bottom left corner, just a stretch too far for the Butler defense, and UConn roaring out to an early lead.
And that's important too. We've seen in the past how important these early leads are, especially for teams. Butler is the highest remaining seed left in this tournament. If they were to fall, I mean, it would just add to the madness of today's bracket. But UConn, I mean, they still got plenty of work cut out for them.
Certainly so, as first minute has now come and now gone. And we're starting to see play extend a little bit as rotations will widen out. Disaster will still have to deal with this one, and will get a little bit of an air dribble, but not as heavy of a touch as they want. Chirpoid, high lob, Kai up for it and beats him. Disaster on the back rotation They're going to get dunked. Sir Aaron comes across off the near post. Astro, open net, and that's 1-1.
What a turnaround here. That's such a great challenge from Kai and Sir Aaron. Right place, right time, and Astro quick to the play to finish it off. And just the defense of Connecticut, it didn't feel like it was out of position until that challenge from Kai, and all of a sudden, one favorable bounce is all Butler needs to answer.
And they're looking to get back again as Kai beats him to that play, but too tough of an angle, and it's proven by that hit. Just a little bit too far over, but still in the UConn half. Disaster passes off the sidewall to Droys, and the throw downfield will be met by Kai. Another long ball down as Kai just trying to headhunt there in the backfield. Not getting any demos, and now in the transition, Astro has to bail him out, but he's bounced off the sidewall. UConn struggling to find that possession again as this ball tried to hit back across to Droys, but only going to get a deflection. And Disaster will try to tap that one into the corner. And UConn not getting quite the touches they're looking for off these passes. They found success earlier, but down the stretch seems like it's really more motivated just by trying to keep it away from Butler. And for good reason on the counter, Kai bangs one in.
Astro, what a catch here, and then he gets this flick off the wall, and Kai reads it beautifully, finds just the tip of it, and redirects that one back on goal. And if you're on the side of UConn, I mean, you just got to feel bad about that one, because you guys were pressing forward, and then all of a sudden you have to run back on defense, and they just could not get back in time. What a play from the side of Butler.
But that's a lot of open space in the backfield. Sir Aaron has to cover it quickly as Chirpoid sent it deep, and Droys will decide against this challenge, but giving Kai space, not always what you want to be doing, as that flick generates a hit to the corner. Chirpoid, though, good contact, but not the follow-up, as that one's going to fall a little bit short. UConn running a little ragged, but still only a one-goal game. Just have to keep it out of the hands of this man right here, as Kai will get that flick, draw out two, and Sir Aaron, if not for Droys, might have had a third.
This is a dangerous opportunity, and now UConn, a pass across, Droys diving. How did Sir Aaron find that read? And all of a sudden, a chance here for UConn. This is their first chance in what feels like 2 minutes.
And now with under 2 minutes to go, UConn is starting to get into territory where it has to be getting a little bit frustrating. It just seems like Butler is just a half a second quicker to all these challenges on the defense, and they're holding strong for right now. And on the transition, they've been doing fairly well as Kai will try to take that one out. Chirpoid with a nice extension. Sir Aaron, they're backwards. They can only get a temporary touch, but Droys puts in a second.
This second touch was massive, beating the defender, and Sir Aaron not ready for it at all. Able to make one, but there's no one back to make the second save. And an easy second goal there for UConn to tie this game back up.
And really well done from Chirpoid, and it's always those unexpected touches that can provide that little spice, that little variety to your attack, and really throw off the defenders. And it's great to see it work to good effect, but still gotta hold on. Only tied here as we approach the final 60 seconds, and Butler always in the hunt for adding another one, as Disaster will send that one a little bit deeper. Kai trying to approach, gets a deflection. Sir Aaron, they're waiting. Chirpoid is back as well. Only deflection to the side. Kai, unobstructed off the backboard. Tough angle. They don't get it. Sir Aaron does. Almost the miss, but instead the double tap to take the lead back.
Everyone gets distracted by Kai's attempt at a double tap there off the backboard, and Sir Aaron just waits for that ball to plop down to him, and he does crossbar it at first, but his angle brought him right back to it, and a favorable bounce once again for Butler to make it 3-2 with 40 seconds remaining.
Now Astro, no one touching that except for them, and it's just off the ceiling and out. On the counter, Droys, high lob, Sir Aaron well up to meet it. Disaster alone in the backfield, but they'll touch it onto the sidewall. Droys, another pass. Chirpoid, they're looking for it. They'll do more than lurk. They will execute a third, and that's again another tying goal.
of the pass we saw earlier to Kai. Chirpboy now lurking in midfield, finds that angle, and he's coming left to right at that pass. That is not an easy angle to cut, but he finds it, and just like that, late in the game, Connecticut find a way to tie it up.
Droids is actually going to extend another play. That's a great dunk. It's going to go in the middle. Chirpboy waiting, but Kai does well to hold that ball up. Under 10 seconds, can we see another thief of a game here coming in from UConn? That deflection, though, Astro has to deal with that. The backflip, and now 0-second time. Are they going to try to keep it alive? Chirpboy with a double. They can extend it. Kai, they don't touch it. Droids not anticipating it. Can't get it to go. And just barely, we're going to see Butler creep into overtime.
Net was wide open for Droids, but he was too far forward, didn't anticipate the touchback down, and that is going to give Butler a second chance at life here, and that is so... what a momentum swing, because you gotta feel bad. UConn, that was a game they could have stolen away, and now you're giving a high seed a chance here in overtime. This is a big moment for both of these teams.
UConn has gotten here for a reason, but so has Butler in so many deadly opportunities created by this offense. You can't take your eye off them. You have to make sure you're getting these solid clears. So far in overtime, it's working out well as Disaster will extend that play. Astro, not premium contact towards the net, not on it. Droids extending the play. Chirpboy, they're on a pre-jump. They make contact, but deflected out in the corner. And Astro and Butler will survive again as they push that one to the UConn corner.
Another dangerous chance, and they have found their way and their space in the midfield, and you can tell UConn, they're playing with a fire under them right now. They know they want this game badly after that slight mistouch at the end of the of regulation, and Droids might have it here off the double tap. The rebound over top. Disaster gonna try and buy us some time here.
And that's a golden opportunity, and both of them just can't quite put it in. But now on the deflection, Disaster, they're going away. Sir Aaron, they're going straight for it. Deflection, Astro over the top. Kai with a tough read, and they'll just tap it wide. A deflection here from Droids. A crucial amount of time being bought for UConn to try to regain. And Disaster will be able to clear that one out, but for how much longer? Butler trying to set up camp on their half, but fortunately they have to leave for boost, and that one's going to go all the way across as Kai just glances over Droid's bumper on their own half.
That's two big demos, though. This is going to leave a chance here. Droids has to buy some time, and Chirpboy's not going to have a whole lot of boost to get that clear, but he does find the touch, and now Droids tried to cut that angle, but Kai able to get to the ball first, and now you can see the play starting to slow down a bit as both teams kind of reset.
And just trying to calm themselves down, take some deep breaths. Series not over, but certainly have to make sure you're not making any crucial mistakes. Every touch has to be solid. We're seeing a lot of deflections in the Butler half. Has to have their hearts racing. Disaster will tap that one into the corner. Sir Aaron well into the middle again. But Droids lurking upfield. They're one-on-one with Kai. Crazy deflection across, but everyone just so spread out. It seems like unless these teams really do commit to some of these attacks, it might just have to come down to a miss.
I mean, it really does. That was a big touch over top, but Kai gonna be able to respond. The net's open for Chirpboy. What an angle, and all of a sudden, UConn with the steal here in overtime.
That's so unfortunate. Kai has done so much for the team, but both sides of the ball have to be accounted for. A rough clear off the sidewall, and it goes right into the middle, but credit to Chirpboy emerging as such an important player in the UConn attack, putting that one in with gusto, and that hat trick will lead them to victory and be able to seize back this series lead. And so what a back and forth from these two squads.
I mean, that overtime was just the epitome of this set, right? It is so close, just one error. And that play, that initial touch from Kai doesn't feel like a bad play at first. You know, he's just clearing it off the boards, getting it away from center, and then maybe a teammate or he could follow it back up. But Chirpboy, what a read on the ball to get up into the air and find that pass, and not only find that aerial, but then to cut it down into the farthest corner of the net so that it's so difficult for the defense to get back in time. Just great stuff to Chirpboy there to get that overtime goal.
And there's just so many important touches. Chirpoid is actually showing that they're very good for UConn on offense, specifically finishing off these chances. But several times now, we've seen them extend the play by being able to touch a ball into a dangerous position and then get an unexpected second and sometimes even third touch past the defender. That has to be so debilitating for Butler as they're repeatedly dealing with all these reactionary saves. When you have a player that good at baiting you in and then being able to flick it right past you, a great weapon for Connecticut, but something Butler has to watch out for, especially now that UConn has moved on to match point and potentially are on their final game to secure their path into the grand final.
And once again for Butler in this playoff day, they are backs against the wall. They've got to find a way to get the next 2 wins. And it has not come easy at all, the way both of these teams are playing. And UConn, they got to be feeling great. You know, the fact that not only do they, steal away a chance in overtime, but, they are 1 game away from being on grand finals. And it has not been an easy path for them going against these high seeds in the playoffs to get a win here and then, or a win, moments ago, and then possibly a win here. It would be a heck of a day for them, and they're looking to continue it.
And they still have to win a couple more games, but they're on a good start with some early pressure. But a ball into the middle. Kai is lurking. They're not able to finish that one off. Astro will keep it interesting off the near post, but ultimately Disaster gets the cleared. And Chirpoid is always in a position to execute a redirect into the open net for 1.
What? 2, Disaster with the clear up top and finds this redirect. And Kai, you can tell he's trying to get back in time. He just could not get back there and cut that angle hard enough, and UConn again able to strike first.
And Astro will try to extend this out on the clear. Not the perfect contact, but it will get to Kai, who gets a nice corner boost and a dunk. Roy's just trying to hold things up, and Sir Aaron will sweep in to, again, extend this offense. And that's something that Butler has been able to do previously in other games that we've seen in league play, as well as its conference championships. Very good at extending attacks, slowly wearing down a defense, but UConn has done well down the stretch to stifle those attempts. It really seems that if Butler is not able to finish on their first or second moves forward, they're really not able to continue a lot of these movements.
Absolutely, that was a big demo. Kai gonna have to make a play here. Disaster ready for it, can't find the angle, but the setup is there, and Kai again fast to the ball. But to your point, I think it's just been an underrated aspect of UConn is their ability to get the ball out of their defensive zone. And not only that, but just in transition, Chirpoid, and I believe Chirpoid actually has 2 or 3 transition goals just in this set alone. So their ability to get these clears on defense have been fantastic. It's bought them, so many chances the other way. But Kai can't find that angle. Droys has to make the save.
And Droy's coming through with that long dominance, being able to get that save and trying to do more, but not able to score off the transition. Disaster extending the play, not with a pass, but with an air dribble. Astro barely gets it out. Chirpoid another shot, and it's going to be saved again. Attack still not over, but Droy's not able to get that on target, and that'll go out to the corner for Sir Aaron to clear. So UConn, a couple quick jabs at the Butler defense, but still only a 1-goal game, and certainly someone looking for security goal, but instead they're going to get met with Butler tying things up.
This is just a slight mistouch here. Kai turns on the ball, and Droys is right there thinking he's going to find a way to get something on that block, but no chance, says Kai, and he punches it into the net to tie this game back up.
Now Disaster is going to have to try to clear this ball, but again, Kai just rearing their head every time. It seems like Butler needs someone to step up. They are the volunteer, but they also need to make sure they get back on defense. Disaster, I think, might have been out of boost there. Thought that could have been a fast break opportunity, but instead will go to waste. Chirpoid again, the delayed flick almost beating Astro, but good save into the corner, and that'll preserve this level series.
And this is where the game can kind of be won or lost. That was a big demo, possibly opening up the field, but Kai on this dribble, buying his team enough time And in a minute 30 here, the midfield play, it has to be perfect either way to give them a chance. Chirpoid going to be able to make that save, and you can tell Butler, they're swarming. They know they need this win.
But instead they're leave it for Droiz, who gets a flick, but no contact from Disaster. That's going to halt the play a little bit. Chirpoid got a little eager on this one. Kai with the double tap off the sidewall, be able to advance it. Disaster on the counter, though, will be able to cut that one out and more off the backboard. Sir Aaron and Kai have to react. It will be, but only hit to the side. Another hit deep into the corner. Droiz is there. It's a good tap down to Chirpoid, but Sir Aaron getting on it. Now every shot being met with an equivalent defender. And now we're starting to see a little bit of close trades of shots and saves from both these squads, as both of them really stepping up to each other's challenges.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can kind of tell too by the way things are kind of playing out. UConn, their offense, it's having a little bit of space to work with, and the defense of Butler has to respond. We talked about how good UConn has been in transition. Butler has to be just as good. That was a chance missed. Disaster with a chance here late.
It's going to be deflected away, but UConn still on attack, but a greedy shot coming in. That's a little weak from Disaster, but still alive. Chirpoid, 0 seconds. Astro not taking any chances. No clear out, just straight down. And yet again, we'll be seeing overtime. One more goal from Butler will be able to extend this series into game number 5. One more from UConn, and this series is all over. And I'm curious to see what it's going to take for one of these teams to emerge.
Chances open, but Chirpoid got back in time, and that was a point of emphasis we saw in the MAC tournament. The ability to recover from some of these defensive errors was massive, and there, UConn getting away with one.
A little bit of deflection. No one up for that one, but Kai will eventually be going. Disaster into the middle, but give away to Astro. This is an open air dribble. They only have Droiz to beat, but Droiz will stand tall. Get the save to the side. Still not over. Kai, open net, but Chirpoid will be able to get a bumper on that one. 2 close touches there from Butler, turned away. UConn holding strong, but Butler not looking to leave this half anytime soon, as Kai will pressure another one out into the corner.
That was a huge clear, a huge demo, but able to keep the pressure on once more. Can Kai find this touch? Yes, he can. He's found that dive across time and time again, and you can tell these teams are getting aggressive. They're trying to overextend. They're trying to find a way to get their offense set up, because these offenses have been so dangerous in the past. It's going to take one slight mistouch here or there to give the opening off the crossbar, off the backboard, and out.
Now, Butler a little bit panicked, though, as that backboard, they didn't have the perfect read, but he'll be able to settle down enough to get a flick in the middle. Kai, open shot, but hits it a little bit prematurely. Chirpoid was back enough to be able to get that. Sir Aaron at least salvaging a little bit of the attack, as we'll see it go to the corner again. High lob, tough angle. Kai goes anyway. It's still there. Astro, it's on the near post. The double is saved, and we will remain tied here in overtime.
I think Kai went on that first jump, and if he hadn't, he had a sure goal. And now the pass down mid over top. Another chance redirected away, and Butler's defense has to make another stand here as UConn's pressure continues.
We're almost into another half of a game in this overtime, but both these teams getting so many close chances. I don't know if it's nerves or just fantastic defense, but somehow we haven't had anything come up. Maybe Disaster can change that, but Sir Aaron will get a nice touch out and be able to try to start a transition. No initial contact, so Chirpoid now on the counter will try an air dribble of their own, but a little bit of a giveaway, and Kai will be able to get some crucial 50s, and I think now we're starting to settle down into a slightly calmer bit of overtime. But as I say that, Chirpoid cannot be challenged, and yet again gets the crucial goal, and this time for the series win.
Sir Aaron double commits and realizes he's out of position and cannot recover in time. And just when you thought maybe Butler had a chance the other way, UConn was right back on top of the ball, and Chirpoid, what an angle down back on net to take the series. And the chaos of the Big East bracket continues as Connecticut is on to grand finals.
The Cinderella story will continue, and the 7th seed here, not going to game 5, but instead taking care of business in 4, putting up a crazy amount of shots, I have to say, with overtime, yes, but 16 shots coming out from Connecticut, and this offense is something else.
It really is, and we saw in that first couple games, it seemed like they were a little dependent on those backboard plays. But if it was open, then why not go for it? And you saw how quick players like Disaster and Chirpoid were to get into the air for those challenges, even in transition too. Chirpoid, the touches that he found, those extra little taps on the ball just to beat a defender, were fantastic, and that was all they needed just to get that slight edge and find their way to to win this series and book their ticket to grand finals. What a set that was.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more about it. So we are going to throw all of you to a short break, but we'll be back with University of Connecticut's Droids to pick their brain and see what's on their mind throughout that series, but as well looking forward into that grand final against DePaul. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Big East Conference Championships.